Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praises are Allah's, Lord of the worlds, and may His peace and blessings be upon our Master, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and His pure immaculate. It's an honor to be able to share a few moments with this very warm community. I'd like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to see the community and benefit from it. The title they gave me to speak about was entitled Life After Death. And this title is problematic. It's not complete. And inshallah, during the speech, it will become evident why it's limited in nature. Here, when we speak of life after death, we're talking about metaphysical life, life beyond the physical realm, that succeeds physical death. That's what we usually mean. We mean that metaphysical realm that succeeds this physical realm. Yes, it's okay. Yes. The dunya, the world, is the physical realm of existence. Existence is one, but it has different realms. This dunya is the physical realm of existence. This physical realm of existence is infinite. It's not limited. This physical realm of existence is pre-eternal and it's post-eternal. It's always was, is, and will be a physical realm of existence. It has to be the case because it's a manifestation of Allah's. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. And that's why time always was, is, and will be. Because time is a function of the physical matter, the physical dimension. However, the title is about the metaphysical life, or the metaphysical realm of existence that succeeds the physical realm of existence. We have traditions that state تَمُوتُونَ كَمَا تَعِيشُونَ. You shall die as you are living. It's very important. You shall die as you are living. Here, when we look at this tradition, we're getting closer to the truth. It's not a case that we are physically dead first and then we undergo a metaphysical life. No, at the same time that you are living physically, you are undergoing a spiritual death. Here, death in the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt is referring to a transition to a higher realm. Mutu qabla an tamutu. die before you die, meaning die a spiritual death before you die a physical death. Make sure you undergo spiritual death before you undergo the physical death. When we say life after death and segregate life and death from one another with time, physical time, it's okay. It's a minimum understanding of religion. It's a very common lay person's understanding, but still it's important. But the truth is much deeper than this. If you think we are living now, and then one day we shall die and then enter Barzakh and the hereafter, there's no need to segregate, because everything exists right now. Heaven, hell, Qiyamah, the major and minor forms of it, the Sirat, the questioning of the angels, and all articles of Aqa'id, they all exist right now. We don't have to wait one day for Barzakh, for heaven, for hell. One day we'll see the Sirat. One day the questioning of the angels will arise. No. The Urafā, as a result of their witnessing the metaphysical realms and supported by verses of the Holy Quran and traditions of the Ahlul Bayt, they've extrapolated the fact that everything exists right now. Don't put religion on credit and say one day there'll be this, one day there'll be that, one day there'll be the question. So the aim is to transcend voluntarily before we are transcended involuntarily. Mutu qabla an tamutu. You die spiritual death voluntarily before you're taken to the hereafter. And although you're in the hereafter right now, but it will manifest before you. You try and see that manifestation of religion before physical death. You try to see the metaphysical realm before you're taken involuntarily to the metaphysical realm. Therefore, we have to try and not be intoxicated by the dunya, by this physical realm. It's all about dying voluntarily, which means in effect seeing or even being beyond. أَعِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ الْغَيْبِ فَهُوَ يَرَى. Does one have knowledge of the unseen? The unseen being the metaphysical realms. Does one have knowledge of the unseen to qualify as one who sees? It shows that this seeing isn't a physical seeing. It can't be. It's a seeing of the metaphysical realms. Otherwise, animals also see, and they may even see physically better than me and you. That seeing which is of value, according to the prescriptions of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, is seeing beyond the physical and seeing the metaphysical realms, seeing the angels, seeing the hereafter, and so on and so forth. In one verse in the Holy Quran, I don't know the verse off by heart, unfortunately, but it's chapter 42, verse 11, I think, where it says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Those who say that our Rabb, Allah is our Rabb. That's aqa'id. Aqa'id has degrees to it. The deeper you acquire it, the better. ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا. Then they stay steadfast upon it. That's action. Action has degrees. The more you commit yourself to action, the better. Those who complete or waver towards these two, the more the better. Angels shall descend upon them. So this is something that we have to be very proud of Islam and say that Islam has a protocol. And when we invite people to Islam, we're inviting them to see this. Otherwise, if you tell the youth that one day you will have this, one day you will have that, one day this will happen, one day, and by putting religion on credit, well, they can very rationally and legitimately say, well, what's the use of that? We're living now. This comprehensive, eternal religion, which is timeless, there shouldn't be this putting on credit. However, if we don't see, but everyone to their own degree, most of you here have seen, but maybe you weren't aware of it. For example, in your dreams, you heard a knocking of the door. You heard a voice. You suddenly woke up. You saw it was Fajr time. That is also the angels waking you up. But they manifest in different forms. Sometimes you may see the angel. Sometimes you may see the angel as a scholar. Sometimes you may just hear the knocking of a door. Everyone to their own degree. The more, the better. If you don't see according to the rationale of the Quran, you're blind. من كان في هذه أعمى فهو في الآخرة أعمى. One who is blind here in this physical realm, they're going to be blind in the hereafter. تموتون كما تعيشون. When you were living and you were blind, you were going to be blind when you're going to be resurrected. Although you're blind now, but you don't know it. This manifestation of blindness will appear to you when you have a physical death. But right now you're blind. فمن كان في هذه أعمى فهو في الآخرة أعمى. Those who are blind here in this realm, they're going to be blind in the hereafter. Why were they blind? Because they were imprisoned, as the Urafa say, in the mode of hadha, here. Sometimes in the Quran, we see that in relation to the Quran, it says, hadha al-Quran, this Quran. Sometimes it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, that book. Sometimes it says, this book. Sometimes the Quran says, that book. Sometimes in relation to Allah, it says, ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ, that Allah. Sometimes Allah is referred to He who's close to you. Here, from these verses, many ulama have extrapolated the fact that we have to try and not be intoxicated infatuated, imprisoned, or captivated by the realm, by the mode of thisness. Because the mode of thisness here is a minimum, a physical manifestation. We want to get to the inner depths, the esoteric dimensions of religion. This book is important, but we want to get to the essence of the book. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. Allah, there are degrees and manifestations to Allah. The higher we transcend, the more Allah we will understand. And so on and so forth. The more Allah will manifest before us, rather. The question of the Imams, the same applies. Knowing Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, knowing during these days that we're commemorating the auspicious days of Ashura, knowing Imam Hussein alayhi salam, sometimes it's a hada knowing, where it's just knowing the physical aspects surrounding the story of the Holy Imam, and we study the history and a few stories, and that's it. But that's a minimum. Knowing the truths of Imam Hussein, ذَلِكَ الْإِمَامِ, that Imam. The more you transcend in the metaphysical, the more you will have irfan of Allah, irfan of the Quran, and irfan of the Imam. النَّذَرُ إِلَى وَجْهِ عَلِي إِبَادَةٌ. Seeing the face of Amir al-Mu'mineen is ibadah. However, many people saw the face, the physical face of Amir al-Mu'mineen, but they were munafiq, because they were captivated by the realm of thisness, hada. They had no dhalika in them. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That is the book. There's no doubt in it. That. You have to transcend. It's far away, not in time or space. In degree, in dimension. You have to transcend these dimensions to get to that book. And the book, there's the silent book, which is the Holy Quran. But there's the speaking book, which is the Ahlul Bayt. Therefore we have to transcend and not suffice with knowing the minimum of who they are. Mutu qabla tamutu. Die before you die. The more you die, the more you can benefit from the Holy Quran, the more you can benefit from the Imams. Rumi, who was a very famous Muslim Sufi, is known for his poems. In one poem, he says, "Chist dunya az Khuda ghafil shudan." Very deep verse, highlighting and shedding light on the reality of the dunya. What is the dunya? He says, it's being heedless of Allah, oblivious to Allah. The dunya is being ghafil, being heedless, oblivious to the metaphysical realms. That is the dunya. This is the reproached dunya, not the dunya which is the physical creation. Whatever is good. That dunya which is reproached in some verses and in some traditions, in Nahj al-Balagha and other traditions, the reproached dunya is as you are oblivious to the metaphysical. as you are oblivious to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you forget Allah, the more you are infatuated in the thisness dimension, in the dunya dimension. And then the more you come to transcend. If you're intoxicated in the worldly life, some people, when they die, since they were so infatuated in the dunya, even in akhirah, after physical death, they're still going to be in the dunya for a long time. Some people, though, because of transcending, even though they're in this physical realm, they are in their akhirah right now. Mutu qabla an tamutu. It all depends on your irfani world view and how you're living moment to moment, and how many of your actions are done Allah fully, and how many of your actions moment to moment are done Allah lessly. And here, in the science of muraqabah, one of the aims is to make you enhance your actions Allah fully more and more, and to eliminate Allah less actions more and more. Most people, Ayatollah Jawadi Amri has said this, that most people on dying, they don't realize they've entered Barzakh. And then only when they're buried, many of them, not all, they realize that they are now in the hereafter. Most of them on being buried. And that's why the Salat al-Wahsha is when you bury them, not when they die. Many of them don't know that Barzakh has started due to that over-preoccupation with the physical realm of existence. They still have a strong affinity. Most people on dying, they still think they are the corpse. That's why when we do the talqinat, you do it directed to the ear. Because that person who's passed away, they still think that is them. Many people on the first night when they're buried, they realize after being buried. Many people, even after, although here after doesn't mean in time, because there is no time as we know of in that metaphysical realm. This afterness is an afterness in hierarchy rather than in time. Many people, after years in Barzakh, then they wake up to the fact that they're in the hereafter. And this continues. In the tradition, الناس نيام إذا ماتوا انتبهوا, people are asleep. When they die, they wake up. This waking up, this being informed, has been interpreted in many ways. Some people have interpreted as being they wake up from the fact that they were asleep. So when they die, they wake up and realize that all this time we were sleeping. Here, this reality has been explained in different ways. The fact that you've woken up and you realize all your life was a dream. Or according to the logic of one verse in the Quran, it was a mirage. All your life was a dream. All your life was a mirage. was non-existent. Why was it non-existent? What did you do? This reality has been explained by the Oracle in different ways. One of the Sufis it's a long time ago I read this story. I think he was one of the Sufis of Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. He gave this analogy. That there was a man who went to the public bath. And then in the public bath, he slept. When he was sleeping, he dreamt of himself going in a public bath. You have to follow me here, it's a bit difficult. So a man goes to the public bath, he sleeps. In his dream, he dreams of himself going into a public bath. He goes there and he goes to the cubicle or whatever they have in public baths, waiting for someone to come and provide their services. All of a sudden, in the dream, he sees someone, a copy of himself, also entering the public bath. And then all the workers went towards that second person who looked just like him. And they paid that person a lot of respect. Apparently that person was very important. He had a status of a particular, I can't remember now. But they paid him a lot of respect and he was just there waiting. When the workers left, he thought out of curiosity, this is still in the dream, he went to see who this person was because he looked just like him. He realized that the person had died. Since they were copies of one another, he changed places. So now he becomes this very wealthy, highly respected person. And in his own clothing he put on this second person. So what happened when the workers returned, they thought this first person has passed away. But the wealthy person, who was in reality this first person, it's all in the realm of dreams though, was still there. So now they're respecting me, the dreamer. They were respecting me. Before they weren't respecting me in the dream. A car was waiting for me. After the session, the car was waiting. They took me to the car and I went to the biggest of houses and estates. They were all there because they thought I was that person. One by one, all the provisions he was made aware of. All of a sudden, he was smacked on the back of his head. The worker said, "Wake up. You've been sleeping all this time. It's now lunchtime. We want to close the public baths and leave." That was the dream, and he woke up with a smack on the head. The point being, in the same way that wealth, status, the big car, the big job, the big house, the estates, the certificate, and so on and so forth. It was all an illusion. It was all a dream. Right now, we are drowned in this dream. On physical death, when Israel smacks us at the back of our heads, we're going to realize that all this wealth, name, prestige, job, certificate, it was all a dream. Kassara, like a mirage. Once, one of my ustads, in one of the marketplaces in Auburn, he saw there were many military people standing in line. He followed them They were all, it was linked, the line, the row was ended at the mosque of the late Ayatollah Bahjat, rahmatullah. So he said, let me go in. So he went in and he asked someone who was standing at the door, can I enter and benefit too? He said, yes, it's open to everyone. He entered the room. Ayatollah Bahjat was about to leave. One of the army men said, can you provide us with a piece of advice? And in front of all those army men, who were people with varying ranks, varying certificates, varying prestiges, he rose his hand and said, it's all khiyalat, it's all imagination. And then you're going to realize it's all imagination one day. But we are infatuated, we are intoxicated with the knowledge that we have, with the prestige that we have. We think it's something. The problem is that we have acquired all this lawlessly. We saw the wife, the husband, the child, the job, the certificate, the clothing, the house, the car. We saw them lawlessly, moment to moment in our lives. The spouse qua spouse we saw. We saw a mirage. The child qua child we saw. It's a mirage, it's non-existent. It was all a dream. The job qua job. The certificate in and of itself being a certificate we saw. It's non-existent, it doesn't exist. The honor qua honor we saw doesn't exist. It's khiyalat, it's imaginary. It's a dream. We should have seen the spouse qua Allah, the child qua Allah. We should have seen the prestige, the certificate Allah fully, i.e. qua Allah. Seeing everything Allah fully, seeing everything as manifestations of Allah, never being oblivious to Allah. That is the aim, the goal. But when there's no qua Allah, it's all a dream. It doesn't exist. Kullu shay'in halikun illa wajha. Everything is non-existent but Allah's face, but Allah's attributes. It's all Him, Allah, in dimension. But we were heedless to this reality. We were infatuated in the realm of hadihi and never dhalika. Everything right now in real terms is halik, not will be halik. If you want to say will be halik, you need contextual indicators. We don't have that. Everything is halik except Allah's attributes. Kulla yawmin hu fi sha'n. From manifestation to manifestation, every manifestation, it's Him, the essence of Allah in dimension, His attributes in play. For example, when you go to a clothes shop, me and you, we see the shirt, we see the pair of trousers, we see a pair of gloves, we see a hat, but the Sufi sees nothing but thread. Kulla yawmin hu fi sha'n, in dimension. It's all thread there. There's nothing but thread. La ilaha illallah. There's nothing but Allah. There's nothing but thread in the clothes shop. the pair of trousers, it's all thread. We get intoxicated in the trousers. We get intoxicated in the shirt. We see the shirt qua shirt, not the shirt qua thread. And therefore here we have to, in all our actions, see Allah in all actions. Slowly but surely. You can't do it in a day or a week or a year. It needs practice. In Sayr al-Suluk, the science of Muraqabah helps you how to acquire this seeing. In one verse in the Holy Quran, chapter 30, verse 7, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. They see the outer aspect of the worldly life, but in relation to the hereafter, they are ghafil. They are heedless. They're oblivious to the hereafter. In relation to the zahir, the outer aspect of the worldly life, they know that. In opposition to zahir, the Quran uses the term akhirah, the hereafter. It proves that the akhirah is the batin of the dunya, because it's used in opposition to ظاهرا من الحياة الدنيا. So akhirah, which is 1/3 of the Holy Quran, is in relation to the butun, the esoteric dimensions of the hayat dunya. And that's why this is important. At transcending to the metaphysical, that metaphysical is the akhirah. It is the inner aspect of this physical realm. There's no difference in existence between the dunya and akhirah. It's one existence. It's the same thing. It just has different manifestations. It manifests differently. If you're infatuated or intoxicated in this zahir, you're going to be oblivious. You're going to be ghafil in relation to the hereafter. Then the Quran uses the term ghafil, heedless. When you are ghafil in relation to X thing, it means in Arabic that X thing exists and you are ghafil to it. Not that the X is non-existent, it exists right now, but you are ghafil and heedless in relation to it. So this hereafter, the heaven, hell, barzakh, the angels, the questioning of the angels, the sirat, all these things exist right now. وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. But they, in relation to the akhirah, which is in effect the batin of hayat al-dunya, they are ghafil. Our aim is to die spiritually. And that means transcending to a higher realm. And if in this world, all this time, you haven't transcended, after death, physical death, when you're taken involuntarily, you'll see that everything you did was khiyalat. That's the story of Ayatollah Bajat. Was halik, non-existent. It was a mirage. When you get to the mirage, there's nothing there. You thought you were seeing water. You get there, there's nothing there. You waste all that time. You wasted your time from the beginning when you were traveling towards the mirage. You were wasting your time all the time. It was only when you got there you realized it manifested before you that you wasted your time. It's like an arrowsman hitting an arrow in the dark and misses target naturally, but doesn't know that they've missed the target. Only when it becomes daytime, they realize they missed target. But when it was dark and they hit the arrow, from then on they were wasting their time. They were living targetlessly. But when the daytime came, they only realized then it was all a dream. It was all nothing, all imaginary. And that's going to be painful. It's going to be very difficult. And the younger you are, it's better to be informed of these inner realities of Islam. You have to start early in life. Don't be afraid by these kind of discussions. It's important. It's all about spiritual growth. In one verse in the Holy Quran, it must be Surah Al-Mulk, الذي رشت الله خلق الموت والحياة. He created death and life. But this death, what is it? موتوا قبل أن تموتوا. Die, a spiritual death, a metaphysical death, before you die physical death. Because the metaphysical realm, or death, according to the oracle, precedes the physical realm, in hierarchy at least. It's important. We have to get there. The earlier one starts, the better it will be. And then, moment to moment, as we're acting, just imagine that one's actions were all done allo leslie, ex thing, qua ex. Well, one's going to be resurrected, blind. And all the sins that you do, because sins, by definition, you're doing something, qua that something. You're not recalling Allah when you're sinning. That's not possible. Even if you do non-sins, good actions, but there's no Allah, you haven't done them Allah fully, even they will be problematic. At least they're going to be void in the hereafter. Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayhi said that we have to bury our actions so deep that the rotting odor of those actions doesn't harm the malaikatullah. He meant good actions, but good actions that weren't done for Allah's sake alone. This is a very important aspect in relation to the aftermath of Ashura, which was the title assigned to me for tomorrow's speech. Inshallah, I'll speak more. But all these actions that you're doing now, moment to moment, you're creating your own hereafter. It's all in your hands. No one outside you is punishing you. Inshallah, Allah give us the tawfiq that we have at least glimpses of the metaphysical. Oh Allah, on this special night, all the deceased friends and families, enlighten their souls. Oh forgive us our sins, guide us to the right path, while all Muslims all around the world, all oppressed people, strengthen them and strengthen our leader from the forces of global arrogance. Bin Nabi wa Salawat.